Hello, everybody. Welcome to the DK and Bill Wrestling Podcast on this Summerslam weekend. Why it's in July, we really don't know.
Yeah, well, they're kind of changing like kind of the order of how things are done anyways, so why not? And you know what? I'm liking these Saturday night shows, to be honest.
That's the thing that I hear from people is they really enjoy the Saturday night pay-per-views instead of Sunday, which makes sense because you do a show on Sunday, you got to get up the next day to go to work.
Well, especially with like someone like you, like you're in the East time zone, so like those like especially when the shows are going to that 4 hour mark,
Yeah.
you're looking at almost midnight, 12:30, probably by the time the main event's done. So, and I do think that on Saturdays, like once we get further into like the winter months, you won't be competing with Sunday Night Football, which will really probably help the ratings too. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but you know what? This is the first show you didn't introduce us. I'm DK. This is Bill.
Yeah, the
And
person who
it's
did
been a
not
while
want to
since
go.
we had a show, man. So I'm looking forward to this. We are going to do we did set up a Sting 90 to 94 show, but I suggested to Bill that maybe we do a SummerSlam preview, and we're going to review SummerSlam 1990 today as well.
And
So,
I have my
pretty
reasons.
exciting.
Yeah, and I have my reasons when we get to that in a little bit. So, but yeah, we got a couple of pieces of news to talk about.
Yeah.
The big one being Vince McMahon leaving WWE, retire, resign, however you want to call it.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Probably a forced retirement.
Yeah.
And I know we were talking on the messenger. It's really too bad that instead of him coming out with that nice tweet saying he's resigning, if he didn't just like fire himself in like an epic "I'm fired,"
Right.
that would have just like blown up on social media. Obviously, most wrestling fans know the details behind Vince McMahon right now, and there's another 14 million unaccounted for money that he's going to have to pay. And like, so yeah, that's, things happen. Hopefully all is good, and it's going to be exciting. Honestly, I think a lot of wrestling fans are excited for the change at the top.
Yeah, I think they are.
Triple H guys, I'm sure, are very excited. There might be a few guys in AEW that signed 5-year deals that are kind of wishing maybe they didn't go for so long. That's a long commitment. I don't know if I was a wrestler, like it's nice to get the money and the and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a big signing bonus when you commit to multiple years, similar to like hockey or football and stuff. But when you want to bounce back and forth, I don't know. What do you think about that? Like, do you think there's going to be a lot of the guys that didn't get a fair shot, in my opinion, coming back under Triple H?
I think there will be some. At first, it's not gonna be guys that are in AEW. I think it's gonna be a couple other people. Like when I did that wrestling show this week, one of the people that my co-host or my guest and we agreed on, we thought Killer Cross would more than likely come back.
Yeah.
Which I really wouldn't be surprised if he did. I'm not really sure who else, but obviously it's going to take time as far as, a lot of things happen. And that's something that I think a lot of people are going to have to kind of realize is it's not going to happen overnight. This is going to take time.
Oh, for sure.
And I think with what we're going to get tonight could be the first true sign of the post Vince McMahon era in WWE.
See, I tend to agree with that, but I think the first major thing will happen on Raw,
Mm-hmm.
just because I think the SummerSlam storylines and finishes were probably already set in place
Mm-hmm.
before Vince left. Now Triple H is in charge of creative now,
Yes.
which I'm sure he can go and say, "Oh, actually, this guy's going to win instead of this guy," and blah blah blah. Right? So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm going to make my predictions tonight based on what I think will happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited for the show. Do you want to just, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we jump into this pay-per-view or maybe the build up to the pay-per-view?
I'm trying to think if there was anything else. I don't
There's been a
think.
lot of stuff happen. We haven't had a show in a while. I was curious what you thought of that MJF promo where he kind of went off.
Oh
Now, I
yeah.
know that was a little while back, but we've had some just conflicts with recording. Just I was on
Yeah. And
vacation, you
then
were moving things.
yeah.
So we apologize for not being able to get a show out in a
Yeah, we
while.
do. We
Here
do.
we are. We're gonna try to bang out a couple this weekend. So
With the MJF promo, I kind of understand his frustration, but
yeah,
at the same time, I think it's more of, hey, you're a youngster, you're in your mid-20s. You
yeah,
you've got a career ahead of you.
oh
Don't
yeah,
It's like, don't blow this opportunity that's been given to you, being on TV every week, basically being undefeated for the longest time until this year.
yeah.
And now it's like we've gone almost 2 months without him. And honestly, AEW's kind of kept going without missing a beat. And I think they're fine without him.
Well,
What
that's
is
the issue, right? Like my thinking is, him having the pipe bomb promo that which I hate that word, but it's just what people refer to it as. Um, it hurt like it got his name out there to people that didn't know who he was,
Mm-hmm.
and I love the promo. It was exciting, but there was a lot of realism to it.
Yeah.
So now, like, why would Tony Khan just elevate this guy, give him more opportunities, so in 2023 he can just bolt and be the hottest superstar going,
Mm-hmm.
and he jumps right into WWE because he basically said that's what he was going to do.
Yeah.
So if I'm Tony Khan, I sit this guy down, I bury him, and then maybe you guys can talk and figure it out. But you're not gonna have him on your TV just so he can leave.
And the thing now that Vince is gone,
Yeah,
MJF going to the WWE makes a lot of sense, and he doesn't have to change his character. He can just be MJF.
yeah,
That's all he has to do.
yeah. Because that's the thing with Vince, right? He just wants to control everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like when we get into SummerSlam '90, like the Texas tornado. Like,
Yeah, I know.
but he did refer to him as Von
Harry
Erich on
Von
the
Erich.
show,
Yes, he did.
which I was surprised by.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh damn. But I'm excited to review that show with you. But I think we're going to start with SummerSlam 2022,
Yeah,
which is crazy.
which is tonight.
Yeah, tonight.
Tonight.
Hopefully you can download this show and listen before the show,
Mm-hmm.
or you can listen to it after and like make fun of our horrible wrestling picks.
Yes, see where we went right and where we went wrong on this one.
Yeah, so why
So
don't we just get started here?
yeah,
You got the card in front of you?
yeah, I
I know
do.
it's changed a few times
Yeah,
every time I
and it
looked
even
at
got
it. So,
changed this week because
yeah,
originally it was going to be 9 matches, but they took Seth Rollins and Riddle off
yep.
for storyline purposes. That's what I've heard. So
That's a storyline. Okay, because I heard there's a chance that Seth Rollins will have a match tonight.
it
They
wouldn't
just don't
surprise
know.
me if he did.
So is Riddle not legitimately injured then?
I guess not. I'm not sure.
Okay, so yeah, I was gonna say if you had Randy Orton and Riddle both out,
Mm-hmm.
now I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Seth Rollins goes out and says like raise my hand, he forfeits, and then maybe Randy Orton makes a return or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what his health status is
Right.
at this point, but that'd be kind of cool to see.
All right. So gonna go from WWE.com. Start off with the Mysterios against Finn Balor and Damian Priest in a no disqualification match.
Man, this has gone south quick for that group, hey?
Mm-hmm.
Judgment Day. Um, they kicked Edge out because Cody Rhodes gets hurt.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have Edge be a baby face now because you gotta have your top baby faces. Like I think I said this on our last show. Like if you would have just had Finn Balor be the baby face, then you could have had like a Edge versus the Demon at SummerSlam. It would have been a hell of a lot better than this tag team match that they put together.
Right.
But yeah, and then Rhea Ripley got hurt. It was just like really bad for their faction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Why don't you give your prediction first on this one? I just want to give my 2 cents about the group and how it's gone really bad.
I've been tossing this one around in my head a few times, trying to think of could Edge come back on this show? Maybe not. I think the Mysterios are going to win this because they did this celebration on Monday night of Ray's 20th anniversary in WWE. So basically, if you get to 20 years, you get an anniversary at some. Well, Brock hasn't had his yet, so I'm kind of surprised we haven't.
What's on 20 total years, right? It's like when you break up with your girlfriend and then you get back together.
Mm.
It's like, do you count from the beginning, or do you count from when you got back together?
Right.
So remember there was like a pretty big gap there. I think he came back in like 2010 or something.
Yeah, it was a while. Yeah.
So he's only really been back for like 12 years, and I think he left in the middle of that too. So sorry to cut you off.
No, I'm gonna go with the Mysterios on this one.
Okay, I'm gonna throw a little wrench in this. So we're gonna start off. I think Dominic's gonna turn on Ray in this match. They got the 20-year celebration. It's all about Ray. Dominic's gonna step out of the shadow. I think he's gonna turn on Ray and then join the group that's going nowhere.
So he'll make it go even more nowhere.
Yes, and then you're gonna have this really weird group with Dominic and Damian Priest and Finn as the leader, and then I think Rhea Ripley is back now. I think she's supposed to be with them.
Yeah.
So that might be a way to write Ray off TV here, and then maybe they can keep going with the group. That they're either going to keep going or they're just going to shut the whole thing down.
Yeah.
Starting on Raw, like they might just like come out and like not even acknowledge that they're not a group anymore. Like Triple H is just like, no, we're not doing that anymore.
Like
they just rip up
this whole thing never happened.
Yeah.
All right.
I think Austin Theory's in the biggest issue here with Vince leaving.
Oh yeah.
He might just lose the Money in the Bank briefcase to like somebody in a match.
Well, we'll have to keep that thought in mind for a little later on.
Yeah.
Next match, Logan Paul against The Miz.
Okay, this one's kind of tough to call. Like you kind of saw it coming when the Miz turned on him at WrestleMania for another match here. I don't know. It's to be honest, Logan Paul looked really good at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
I was really impressed by his in-ring skills, and it looked like he had trained really hard and he took it serious. Is Logan Paul gonna be a guy that shows up once in a while, or is he gonna maybe come in and not be a full-time wrestler?
Right.
Maybe transition a little bit. I'm gonna say Logan Paul wins this, but it's probably gonna be by like disqualification.
See, the problem with the match is the fact that WWE has been trying to push Logan as a baby face when he's clearly not a baby face at all.
But the Miz is a heel always.
But when he hit the skull crushing finale at WrestleMania, he got one of the biggest pops of the weekend.
Yeah. So, that's because everyone hates Logan Paul even more than the Miz.
Exactly.
It's like when Roman Reigns freaking attacked John Cena. Everyone started cheering for Roman Reigns because they hate John Cena just a little bit more.
Right.
And that's the way to do it.
So I'm going to agree with you. I think Logan Paul will win this match. He's very athletic. I will say that. I'm not going to take anything away from him athletic wise. I think he's kind of a D-bag, but he's very athletic, very gifted. And if he decides to do this as a career and go on the road with these guys, I might respect him. But let's see what happens. But I got Logan Paul winning this one tonight.
All right, so that's a guarantee of the Miz. Like, just check it off. I don't know if you guys are going, and there are some betting apps that lets you bet on wrestling, which makes no sense to me.
No sense.
Predetermined.
That's and it's mostly in Europe. That's the thing. And
there's one in Canada that lets you do it.
I haven't seen any.
But the problem is, if you don't want to know what happens on the show, don't look at the app.
Exactly.
Because it's usually like, I don't know if you understand odds, but it's like a 120 for the guy that's gonna win, and then like a 4.
Yeah.
And then sometimes if you can bet on the underdog and they change the show, then you can make some money, but you can't really make that much money on that.
Yeah. All right. Next match for the Raw Women's title, Bianca Belair defending against Becky Lynch.
So this is a rematch.
Yeah.
From was that just last year?
Last year.
Where she was supposed to face Sasha.
Oh, that whole thing.
And then Carmella came out in the crowd. I'm surprised the crowd didn't riot. You know what? I hadn't really seen that SummerSlam because I think I was doing, I don't know what was going on that night. I watched it on the network on Thursday night because they were just replaying all these SummerSlams. And that was like, I don't know. I liked how they did it. Like, I think they were turning Becky heel by having her just hit her when she wasn't looking and then winning really fast.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a really good match. I think Bianca's going to take it here. But I wouldn't be surprised if they had Becky carry that belt to WrestleMania and then maybe have Bianca win it from her at WrestleMania. Just make it like the moment a little bit bigger.
Right.
But it kind of depends on the direction they're going. There might be somebody else coming up that they see as a challenger at Mania. But there's so many, like the women's division has never been stronger. Even with Sasha and Naomi not there. So I wouldn't be surprised if either woman won. But I'm going to say Bianca gets the win here.
Hold on. I might have. Hold on, because I have my grade from last year's show somewhere. Well, I'm not going to worry about it. I think Bianca's going to win this match, but
you're agreeing a lot today, buddy.
Well, we're only on the third match.
Yeah, true.
The thing here is the next pay-per-view. I still call it a pay-per-view. I cannot get into premium live event. Sorry. I'm old. We're old school. I cannot get into a premium live event. It is a pay-per-view. But anyway,
we're not paying. We're not paying. Are you paying still?
Well, I mean, Peacock, but
oh yeah, God, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
My condolences to my American friends. Hey, can you watch WrestleMania 6 with Roddy Piper? Or do they just like block that out?
No, they edited that out. That was a story. Like,
I'm pretty sure I can watch it on the network still.
I got a couple videotape copies of WrestleMania 6, so I could just watch that match on there.
Nice.
So anyway, Bianca will win, but I think something will happen in that match which will lead them to the next pay-per-view, which is in Wales, I think it is. And
right.
And then I think they'll have one more match there. So
Yeah, that's the problem with this Wales show.
mm-hmm.
You can kind of. I'm not saying it's a problem. It's a really good opportunity for that country.
Right.
But you kind of know, like with some of the champions, like maybe Becky would win it over there.
That's what I'm thinking.
And like some of the Europeans, but usually you don't win when you're at home.
Mm-hmm.
They have that thing, but man, when Vince McMahon gone, maybe it changes.
Maybe.
So.
All right. Next match, Pat McAfee against Happy Corbin.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, Pat McAfee's WrestleMania was so good.
It was.
I really enjoyed it.
It was.
I'm a little behind on the current product. What's the storyline here?
Well, basically, at first, McAfee was making fun of Corbin, and then Corbin beat up McAfee after the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. And then they brought up how at one time they were both roommates when they were playing with the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh, okay.
So it's
that makes sense. How they
that's a good storyline. So yeah, I like that they're bringing up like their actual past.
Yeah.
So
a Pro Bowl punter and probably a practice squad defensive lineman or something. I don't know. I'm assuming that he played defensive line or something. He's a pretty big guy, so
yeah.
I might have to look that up. Like what year did he play? Like can I turn on an old Madden and find Corbin?
They said 2009.
Oh, okay.
So
I think I probably have like Madden 08 or something. He's probably in the game.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Never know. As far as this match goes,
oh yeah, right. We have to predict.
Pat McAfee's going to win this one. I just can't see Corbin winning this match on paper. I can't see it. I just can't see it.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a feeling that there's going to be shenanigans here. And you're probably never going to hear this out of DK's mouth ever again, but Corbin's getting a win.
Oh, all right. Write this down, folks. July 30th, 2022. DK predicts Corbin with a win.
Maybe I don't know, since we're talking, they're doing the football angle, maybe there's a guy from the past that's not a huge fan of Pat McAfee. Maybe there's a run-in.
I never thought about that.
This show's in Nashville. The Tennessee Titans were they were a division rival of the Colts.
Good point.
We could have a bunch of Titans sitting in the front row. Maybe Derrick Henry hops the rail.
Oh, I never thought of that.
That'd be sick, actually. Oh, and before we continue, what do you think of the last match that the Ric Flair stuff?
Okay, I'm kind of glad you brought that up because
I kind of forgot it was that's this weekend too, right?
Yeah, because
can I watch it on pay-per-view? Is this on pay-per-view?
It's going to be on pay-per-view. It's going to be on Fight.tv.
Okay.
I already ordered it. It's $40, so
it's on Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? Because I know you're mostly a WWE guy.
Yeah.
But the undercard looks really, really good.
Really?
Like if it wasn't if it didn't have Ric Flair in it, that show could be the potential for like the show of the year based on who like the undercard alone. And the whole thing, for those that haven't followed, originally it was going to be at the Nashville Fairgrounds, which used to be the home of TNA for like the first few years. The ticket sales went so well, they had to move the event to the Municipal Auditorium in Nashville. So a lot of these guys and girls that you're going to, if you get the show tomorrow night, are going to be wrestling in perhaps the biggest audience they will ever wrestle for in their careers.
And the auditorium, is that like a 20,000 seat arena or?
Close to it. About 20,000, I think.
That's pretty good size.
Yeah. And Rick, the Ric Flair match is obviously the drawing for the people.
Yeah.
But no, the talent is just good. And then one of the matches that's very interesting is they're going to have a bunkhouse battle royal, and Bubba Ray Dudley, Bully Ray, is one of the participants in it.
Really?
And they haven't really announced many people for that match, so I'm kind of looking forward to see who else is in that match.
Sure.
So, but no, the card looks amazing. I just hope they can pull it off, and then I just hope Ric Flair does not get badly hurt in the match. I don't think he will, because it's a tag team match. I think,
yeah, with his new son-in-law,
I think he's going to do most of the work. Yeah, Andrade is going to do most of the work.
Ric Flair will get in there, do his chops, and he'll do his strutting, and it'll be entertaining. He'll do his face plant.
Yep, the flop. Yep.
He'll probably try to do that where he gets thrown into the corner and he does a flip. I guarantee he'll try it.
I think
he doesn't break his back doing it. So
the man is 73 years old.
He'd still be wrestling in the WWE if they didn't force him out. Like WrestleMania 24, he'd probably still be going. He'd probably still be traveling. Guy's a machine.
Well, I'm just hoping that Rick doesn't get that bug again and be like, I want to do another farewell match.
Well, I heard there was a rumor that, I don't know who offered it to him, but they offered him a 10-match contract, $50,000 a match.
Oh no!
And he said, "No, this is my last match."
Good. Now, actually, I did read that Ric Flair hopes Vince McMahon shows up at his show tomorrow night.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. I understand you're friends with him, but
why would you want Vince McMahon to show up at your show?
No, like if it's backstage and there's no cameras, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
But no, we don't want Vince on camera.
Well, what does he think? They want Vince to be sitting in the front row with a Flair shirt on? Like, what do you think's gonna happen here?
Oh man.
What?
So anyway, the next match that we are going to talk about actually has someone in the main event of Ric Flair's last match on this show.
Okay.
Because the Usos are going to defend the tag titles against the Street Profits with guest referee Jeff Jarrett.
Okay.
This is the biggest head scratcher of the entire card. Jeff Jarrett as the guest referee.
Yeah, I'm not sure the reason behind this. He's a Tennessee guy.
That's the only thing I could think of.
Does he have any storyline?
No.
They just announced Jeff Jarrett as a special referee?
Yep.
Okay. So who's getting hit with the guitar?
See, I was thinking about that too. It will be whoever loses the match. There you go.
Okay.
No, but Jeff's
That's Bill going out on a limb.
Jeff, you know what? I think Jeff Jarrett is maybe the smartest man this weekend, because he's going to get paid to be the referee for this match.
Yep.
And then the next night, he's in the main event with Ric Flair. So he's going to be bringing home a pretty nice paycheck or two this weekend.
Yeah. Plus I think he's like, it's the StarCast thing, right?
Yeah.
So he's doing this stuff with Conrad for his podcast, which I don't know if you've listened to My World. It's a pretty good podcast. Like, His episode about Owen Hart was like phenomenal. I
Oh,
loved it.
he and Owen were
They were
close.
they were bros.
Yeah.
Like, and then they ended up being able to do a storyline together in the last year of Owen's life. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, check out that podcast. After you listen to all our shows,
Yeah.
don't leave. Don't leave.
Don't leave us yet. We haven't even gotten into the fun stuff yet.
Exactly.
All right. Who do you have for the tag title match?
Okay, so man, both tag teams are so good.
I know.
Damn. I think the bloodline's still going, man. But the Street Profits, this is a tough one to call. And now you got a special referee for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking the Usos. I don't know why. I'm just taking them. There. I made my pick.
I
hope I'm wrong.
Yeah. I want the Street Profits to win because I enjoy them. They're a tremendous team. And I'll tell you, Angelo Dawkins, the last few weeks, he's really come into his own because, everyone's like, oh, the team's going to break up and Montez Ford's going to be the star of the team. And Dawkins is like, hold on a minute. I got some talent in the ring too. And he really does. So if they ever break them up, I think both of them are going to be stars, in my opinion. But
yeah, we'll go back to what you just said, though. Montez Ford is going to be a superstar when they decide. Like, he's going to be the guy.
He's the complete package.
He's so incredible. He's got, like, the charisma.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got, like, the fans are behind him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if Montez Ford had won the Money in the Bank contract instead of Austin Theory, like, that would have just been so incredible. But maybe he's just not ready yet. Maybe they're going to roll with the tag team for a while.
Mm-hmm. No, Ford is going to be like the first star of the two, but Dawkins, if they give him the right story and the right character, I think he'll be a star as well.
Yeah.
But with this match, I'm going to go with the Usos. I can't see them losing it tonight.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. They're just rolling.
Yeah.
Like the faction.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the Usos, they might cheat to win. There might be some shenanigans, but I do think they will win this match.
Oh yeah. Okay. Next match is for the United States title. Bobby Lashley defending against Theory.
Okay. This one is kind of hard to predict.
Really?
Just because, like, it seems like Theory was like getting pushed pretty well. They they have him winning Money in the Bank after Cody's injury.
Mm-hmm.
Now could he just be a guy that walks around with a briefcase and then screws it up, or is he going to cash in and be a champion? Similar, he kind of reminds me a lot of 2015 Seth Rollins. Now, he was like in that faction with Triple H and stuff, and then he was not a top guy, but he had the briefcase.
Yeah.
Theory is similar to that. I don't see him cashing in tonight.
Okay.
But at WrestleMania 31, that worked out really well for Seth Rollins. It could be a last man standing, both guys kind of out, a way for Roman Reigns to lose the title without being pinned. And they might take advantage of this. Now is this match, like the title match, is it for both belts?
No, it's just for the US. Oh, you mean the last man standing?
Yeah, I know I'm skipping ahead.
Yeah, it's for both belts.
Because here's my thinking. If Theory wins the US title tonight, he's not going to cash in.
Right.
If he loses it, he's going to be all emotional and go, God damn it, and then cash in and probably lose. So I'm gonna say that Lashley probably squashes him and beats him pretty easily, and then there might be a potential cash in later, but
All right, well,
we'll see.
I hate to bore you guys, but I'm gonna agree. Bobby Lashley's going to win this match. I think honestly, Theory with the U.S. title is done. I don't see him right now getting that belt back. I think it's just time for him to move on. Lashley will retain. Okay, now to the SmackDown Women's title. Liv Morgan defends against Ronda Rousey.
Yeah, and like Liv's going strong. Her social media is all about her and the belt, like everywhere they go. Would they have her cash in and then lose it the next month? Vince McMahon would. So,
but here's the thing: she already cashed it in.
yeah, she cashed it in and won the title.
Yeah.
So now I'm saying a month later in a rematch, is Ronda just going to beat her? I don't know. I don't see Ronda losing legitimately in a one-on-one, no nonsense cash in situation.
Right.
But the fans are loving Liv.
Oh yeah.
It's a tough job, like trying to be in wrestling creative, I think. But I don't know if I would have put Ronda right back in the mix here. I would almost like have her go away for a bit, but SummerSlam is the second biggest show of the year, so I see why they're doing it. I'm going to say Ronda wins the title back. And I don't think this is what they should do, but I think it's what's going to happen.
Okay. Liv this year has won me over. Like, it's taken her a while, but she's won me over this year.
Yeah.
She's not the best, but she's one of those who puts in the effort all the time, every time. And I respect her for that. And she has gotten over with the fans. Like, the fans are into Liv Morgan because she's a believable character.
She is.
And when she cashed in and then beat Rousey, which was a great surprise because Rousey had only lost one other time, and that was the main event of WrestleMania a few years ago. So Morgan is already on the short list of people who've beaten Ronda Rousey in the WWE.
Yeah.
I would love to see Morgan beat Rousey a second time, which would put her in a very exclusive club of she's the only one that's ever beaten Rousey twice.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a club. It'd just be Liv by herself.
Yeah, it would just be Liv. However, I do think Rousey's getting the title back. This is the one that I hope I'm wrong on 1,000%. But I think with Liv, this was just a test run to see how she does and how she does with the fans. And it's proven she can be a champion. That's for sure. But I think Rousey's going to win the belt back. But this is the one where I hope I'm wrong. And I would be happy to be wrong on this one.
Yeah, this is like almost like when Randy Orton won the title for the first time. And then like the next month he lost it. Now I think it was probably behavioral issues with him.
Right.
Maybe he wasn't ready, but that's the thing. Like if Liv was facing almost anybody else tonight, I would probably take her, just the role that she's been on. Like she was, I think I was like into Liv before you were, because I picked her to win the Royal Rumble. I thought this was going to happen, like her moment at Money in the Bank. I thought it was going to happen at WrestleMania.
Right.
I was wrong. Didn't expect Ronda Rousey to return. So I've been on the Liv Morgan train here for a bit. So it sucks. Now, I like Ronda. I think she's really good in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if she beats Liv here, if she squashes her, beats her like easily, she's going to be a big heel. And I think maybe that's what they're going to go for.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't be surprised if Ronda did a couple cheating aspects where you kind of see her in ring stuff change just a little bit, similar to like how Becky changed last year
Yeah.
when she like kind of cheap shot at Bianca, and then the crowd was like kind of cheering for her, and then they're like, "What the hell? What's going on here?"
Mm-hmm.
And then by the end of it, she's getting booed out of the building.
Yeah.
So I could see Ronda winning tonight and like easily. Hopefully it's not a quick match, but they
Right.
might be setting something up for the future.
They could. And the main event for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar in a last man standing match.
Okay, we're doing this again.
And they are saying this is the last time that these two are going to face
the last time that they have a last man standing match, or the last time they have a match?
The last time they have a match.
Well, who are they going to wrestle? This is who they wrestle.
Well, Roman. I mean, well, Drew McIntyre won the title shot for the next pay-per-view. So
yeah,
whoever wins this match is going to face Drew in September.
I think everyone knew that Drew was getting that title match in Wales.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Jesus, I don't know. There's so many different scenarios in my head that could work. I'm gonna pick what I want. Okay, I think Roman's gonna win. Brock's gonna lose 2 matches on pay-per-view in a row.
Yeah,
there's no way that's in his contract.
Kind of unheard of.
Like, what would you think of a scenario where they're both down and then Theory cashes in, wins the title, and then Drew McIntyre just destroys him in Wales and wins the title?
It's possible.
Like, if you're gonna have Drew McIntyre have his moment in Wales, like at WrestleMania when he won the title, there's nobody there.
There was nobody there. Exactly.
It was in a performance center. It's not a WrestleMania moment. That's a practice ring moment. Okay?
In front of the lowest
don't at me. Don't at me.
History.
It's true. They're like, oh, it's WrestleMania moment. And it's like all you can hear is Paul Heyman yelling. There's no crowd. Like, it was before where they put the TVs in the freaking stands, where at least it sounded like there was a crowd in there. It's freaking terrible.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, sure.
Is Otis kissing Mandy Rose at that WrestleMania a WrestleMania moment?
That's an Otis moment.
Good point.
It's probably the first time he kissed a girl, so.
Oh.
Sorry, Otis.
Oh.
You can at me if you want. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah, okay, it's a WrestleMania moment when Kevin Owens jumped off the.
Okay, yeah, sign. That's a WrestleMania moment. I'll agree with you.
I'm just saying that he missed out on that. Like, when you're a kid and you want to be a wrestler, and you always win that title at WrestleMania when you're thinking of your dreams and stuff. It's not in an empty arena in Orlando.
No,
it's in front of the crowd, the big pop. So, man, that would be probably what I would do. A similar cash in like Seth had with the same 2 guys we're talking about.
Yeah.
How funny would that be if Brock lost again by a cash in?
Gosh.
But he was the champion in that moment.
Right.
And roles were a little bit reversed. So that's what I think. That's what I want to happen. But I think Roman's probably just going to win after like 4 or 5 spears and 7 or 8 Superman punches and 19 Michael Cole calls. Like, oh, Jesus, just put on mute.
Well, I don't know. See, I know you don't
like the Raw guy that much, but I kind of wish he would just call Roman Reigns matches, because Michael Cole, Michael Cole gives me diarrhea talking about.
You mean Jimmy?
Roman Reigns.
You mean Jimmy Smith?
Yeah.
Oh, he's not bad. I don't
Oh,
mind.
so I thought you had something with him.
No.
Okay.
He's not that bad. No.
Okay. Yeah, Michael Cole calling Roman Reigns moves is like, oh my god, I'm getting anxiety thinking about
Anyway,
it. So I picked Roman Reigns to win. He
all right.
continues.
So here's what I think will happen. Roman Reigns will win the match. Austin Theory, and I've actually I thought about this for a few days. Theory will come out. He will cash in the contract.
Okay.
Reigns will beat Theory. And this is going to be like their way of saying to Theory, hey, you're 24, 25 years old. The future's ahead of you. It's just not your time. Because I really think if Vince was still running, Theory would be leaving tonight with the title. I really do.
Oh man, that'd be so bad.
But it won't happen. So, but I do see Theory cashing in tonight, and he's gonna fail. That's what I think will happen.
And there's only been 2 guys to fail, right?
2 or 3. It's a very short list.
I know John Cena cashed it in.
Yeah.
On the year he wasn't supposed to actually win it. And
right.
When he God, that's so funny. When he pulls the briefcase down and he's just like, and he's like, okay, should I celebrate? That was supposed to happen. And then he just cashes it in a week before. And then I think CM Punk beats him or whoever was champ at the time. And then Baron Corbin cashed it in and he lost, which was.
And then the one that everyone forgets about is Damian Sandow. That's the one everyone forgets about.
Yeah, I forgot about Damian Sandow.
He won the contract, and then I think Cena had won a title like on like the pay-per-view the night before, and Sandow cashed it in, and then Cena beat him.
Yeah. So, I forgot about that.
So those are like the only 3 that have failed to cash in, and no women have yet to fail on a cash in. So I kind of like that trend.
Yeah, and a lot of times the cash in happens the same night with the women.
Yeah,
I know there was a year where Asuka won, but she ended up getting the title because Becky was pregnant.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So you're picking Theory to
cash in.
So then is it going to turn into a triple threat? What do you call it? Or is someone going to win the match first? Because I think it's going to be hard for them to do a triple threat last man standing match.
I think it's going to be after the match. Theory cashes in, Usos do a super kick, and Reigns just goes and pins them.
So Reigns is going to win versus Brock Lesnar, and then there's going to be a cash in.
Yes. And then Theory will fail.
Okay.
Well, we'll have to see how we do. And if you guys want to come up with your own drinking game, you could take a shot for every time we're wrong tonight. So
we take a shot every time Michael Cole says Superman punch.
Oh, jeez.
And then you won't see the cash in because you'll be asleep on your sofa.
Yeah, pretty much.
So no AJ Styles match.
I know. No AJ Styles.
No Seth Rollins. I think there's going to be a Seth Rollins segment. Probably where he comes out and laughs like a lunatic. I'm actually starting to like his character. He kind of reminds me of the Joker. Like, you know the movie The Joker?
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix. He kind of reminds me of that character, like a little bit psychotic. I was watching some older Seth Rollins stuff, and I really liked him when he was a babyface. He was just like becoming like a Shawn Michaels type wrestler. Where he's doing all these long, really entertaining matches. And it's too bad we don't get that anymore because he was a really good performer, but he's still one of the top guys there. So hopefully they get him on the show.
Now, there is one thing that I do want to mention, and this will kind of wrap up our talk previewing SummerSlam. there is a potential that there will be thunderstorms in Nashville at SummerSlam tonight.
Oh, perfect. It's gonna be a
According
7-hour show.
according to PW Insider, they have been told that after what happened with WrestleMania last year, they are prepared for the potential of SummerSlam being paused due to weather. If this happens, they are told, PW Insider was told there will be an indoor area ready that would serve the same function as the pre-show panel show area outside among the fans. So basically they would do like promos, interviews, and stuff. So
Okay.
and at least we won't have Michael Cole calling it WrestleRania, because you can't really do anything with the rain for SummerSlam.
Oh, I hate him so much.
Well, we're here at Thunderslam.
Yeah, that's what he'll say. He's gonna say Thunderslam. That's it. Tweet it out now. Tell him at Michael Cole. Here, this is what you say, because I know you can't make up your own stuff because you use but
all right. Now we're gonna get to the fun stuff. We last night each watched, respectively, at our own times, SummerSlam 1990.
Yeah.
And really, there were two reasons why I chose this show. The first reason is there's just some fond interest I have with this show. I don't know what it is. Maybe because I think it's a number of things, but I can't really figure it out. And the other reason is this show does not get brought up a lot in the echelon of, the history of SummerSlam. And I don't know why, because there's a lot that happens on this show. So, but before we even get into that, there is one thing that I want to point out, and I did not know this until about a year ago, and I want to give a shout out to the Our Vantage Point podcast, who reviewed this show over a year ago. So a couple of notes that I heard from them, so I want to thank them. The originally planned commentating team for this event was going to be Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body Ventura.
Oh, that would have been so much better.
Well,
Jesus.
Ventura left the company before this show ever happened.
Oh, okay.
And why he left, that's up for debate. Gorilla did not do this show because he had to have a toe amputated.
I guess that's a good reason.
That I did not know. So we are stuck with the hot commentating team of Vince McMahon and Rowdy Roddy Piper for this event.
Yeah, it's bad commentating for sure. Like, I know it was 1990.
Yeah.
So it was bad anyways, but man, we'll get into it as we go.
Yeah, we will.
It was 1990 just like one of your favorite years? Because I know Mania 6 is your top Mania, right?
It's like in my top 3.
So I was wondering, like, maybe you wanted to see the next pay-per-view after WrestleMania 6.
Maybe. I have some numbers in front of me. 19,304 people attended the Spectrum in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and you could tell by the crowd.
What was the crowd? Sorry.
19,304.
Okay. That's pretty good for and that's the arena where the Flyers and stuff played. So
right.
Pretty big crowd.
I think that's a sellout.
It should be.
If it isn't, I'll be very surprised. As far as what they did on pay-per-view, they had a good number on this one. 3.8 was the number for the pay-per-view. So that's a good number. Down from the previous year, which was a 4.8, but it's going to be watched by more than the following year's SummerSlam.
Really? 91 was a big one too, so
I know.
That kind of surprised me a little bit.
Yeah. And WrestleMania 6 was a 4.5. So this one not too far behind WrestleMania 6. So they've still got a good audience for pay-per-view.
Sure.
We had a pre-show match, and this is how I kind of know about this match. I'll tell you why in a minute. Shane Douglas defeats Playboy Buddy Rose in our dark match. And this is for our ECW fans that might be listening, watching this. A young Steve Corino was at this show. One of the last ECW champions of the original ECW was at this show, and he talked about in a shoot interview how he overheard Shane Douglas and Buddy Rose setting up a couple of moves, and that's when he found out that wrestling wasn't real.
Hey, it's real, just predetermined.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep, exactly. All right, so SummerSlam 90, where according to Roddy Piper, bagpipes are hot and Baghdad's not.
Oh, man. There's some good lines from Roddy right after. This is like the pay-per-view after he like went half blackface. So.
Right.
Not half black body.
Yeah, half black body. There you go.
If younger guys don't know, he's facing Bad News Brown at WrestleMania, and he like painted half of his body black.
So, well, let's just dive into this one, because our opening match is the Rockers against Power and Glory, Hercules and Paul Roma.
Yeah. So my thinking on this was Shawn Michaels must have been injured, like for real.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't do anything in a match. He gets attacked at the beginning. And then it's basically a handicap match. Hercules. Sorry, what was the name of the other guy in Power and Glory?
Hercules and Paul Roma.
Well, yeah, okay. Yeah, they basically just beat down Marty Jannetty. Marty Jannetty's trying. I didn't mind it for an opening match. It was back and forth. The crowd was into it. They're trying to get Shawn to kind of join the match, but so my thinking is that he was legitimately injured, and they just had him go out there and get hurt, and that's just what happened there. And then Power and Glory get the win.
Yep. With the awesome Powerplex.
Yeah. See, in the 90s, like early 90s, it was like basic moves were finishing moves now, if you look at it, right?
Yeah.
So I liked the match. I gave it a C minus. It wasn't too long. It was a nice opener. Back and forth. Like, I think it would have been a lot better if Shawn was not injured, and then maybe the Rockers get the win and get the nice crowd pop. But yeah, I liked it.
No, this was a good opening match for what it needed to be, and I kind of thought this showed Marty as maybe potentially being a singles wrestler someday, just as long as he doesn't jump through the barbershop window, Yeah.
I'm glad that you brought that up. Why do you think that Marty didn't get a realistic singles run, like similar to Shawn? Like obviously Shawn was the star of the team, but I thought Marty could have maybe had a decent singles run, maybe with the Intercontinental Championship.
If he didn't have issues with his demons, I think.
Yeah, that's always an issue for some guys. So you think if he didn't have those problems, that he probably would have kind of been like Shawn. Shawn took a while to get to the top.
Yeah,
he had some nice runs with the IC belt before he eventually became heavyweight champion.
I don't know if Marty would have been world champ, but I agree with you. I think he would have been a pretty good Intercontinental champion. And then, he could have had some good matches with other guys. So, but I'm in the same ballpark with you. I gave this a C- as well.
Wow, look at us.
So next match, and this one's going to need another explanation, is Mr. Perfect versus the Texas Tornado. Now, the reason that I said we need to explain this was originally going to be Brutus Beefcake against Mr. Perfect.
Okay.
However, on the 4th of July, Beefcake was in a parasailing accident that pretty much destroyed his face.
Yeah.
And that's what took him out for like 2.5 years in the ring. So Texas Tornado steps in. He had just come into the WWF like a month ago at best.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he gets put into this match for the Intercontinental title.
And Mr. Perfect hadn't lost yet, had he? Right?
I mean, besides that match at WrestleMania, no, he had not.
Yeah, so okay, so he did well, they kept saying he had a perfect record. I'm sure that was just like a little saying off his name.
Right.
See, I thought maybe he was like undefeated at that time, but
now you were saying earlier about the commentary of Roddy Piper in this match.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Ugh. There's so many analogies of wind that you can say, and Roddy hit them all. Like, man, like I was laughing. Like at the beginning, I was like, okay, that's enough. And then even Vince had a couple. I'm like, who's producing this guy? There's no one in the back producing Vince, because he's the producer. This is why. Okay, no, honestly, it's just funny.
Yeah.
The commentating in this show is, besides that King of the Ring where Art Donovan was there, this is like the worst I've ever heard.
It's bad, but it's funny.
How much does this guy weigh?
Oh my goodness.
We did a review of that.
He's gonna kill him.
Yeah. But yeah. All jokes aside, there was a lot of references to wind in tornadoes and storms and
clouds and
clouds. And I don't think this match felt like pretty long, but I think it was because Roddy was like draining my will to live out of my body. But anyways, I liked the match. Like Kurt Hennig was freaking phenomenal. He's great at everything.
He sold really well.
Oh, sometimes I felt like he would oversell, like that one right hand at the beginning where he like does like almost a backflip into the ropes.
Mm-hmm.
He was great. I liked Texas Tornado's offense too.
Yeah.
The match was good. I think it was the right amount of time. I was kind of surprised Texas Tornado won the title that quickly. Especially, I was under the impression that it was supposed to be Beefcake. So I'll give this one a C- as well.
Okay. It's a short match, which is good.
Thank God the whirlwind comments were.
And actually, that might be one of the positives for me of this show, is that a lot of these matches are not long.
Yeah.
With this one, it felt a little long and it kind of dragged, but I did like the ending. I did like it where Perfect thought he had the momentum, had the advantage. Then Tornado reverses it, puts on the claw, then the spinning fist and wins, which gets a nice crowd reaction. I'm a little bit lower on my grade. I gave this a D, but it's not a terrible match. It's just at times it felt like it dragged a little bit, but
yeah,
it's not horrible.
I see. I can't give a Mr. Perfect match a D. I just don't think he had very many bad matches, and like I don't
And
know.
and this isn't. It's just not either one of theirs fault. It's just
Yeah,
it.
I like the finish, like you said.
Mhm.
Like even though the hand claw looked like something you would do to your kid,
Mhm.
doesn't look devastating at all. But I like the spinning fist finisher. Was
Brian, I'm
pretty,
tagging you. You do this to your nephews all the time, Brian. You tell me this. You put the claw on them.
yeah, like every dad or uncle does
I'm
that to their
I'm I'm waiting
kid.
to hear when your nephews do that to you. You better
Yeah,
sell good.
sell like Kurt Hennig. Like, my God, he's brushing my brain.
Okay. Now, this is where I think I like the show is because we have a story developing during the pay-per-view.
Yeah,
Because
good stuff.
Sean Mooney is supposed to be interviewing. No, it's Gene. I'm sorry, it's Gene. Gene is supposed to be interviewing Sapphire,
Yeah,
but
sweet sapphire.
sweet Sapphire, but she is nowhere to be found. And
Yeah,
then Heenan and Perfect walk in, cut their promo. So we go to the ring, and Sensational Queen Sherry is out because she is scheduled to have a match now against Sapphire. So Dusty's music plays. Sapphire's introduced. She doesn't come out. She's introduced a second time. Does not come out. Then the music stops. And people are like,
what's going on with
what happened?
Sapphire?
Yeah. And then Dusty's music starts playing again.
Yeah,
And she gets introduced a third time. She does not come out. So then a WWF official goes to the ring, basically tells the Fink, this is what you got to do. And they give Sapphire 30 seconds to come out for the match or she forfeits. And then when we get to the 10 count, Sherry is great. She just starts screaming and it kind of
Sherry's
scares
so great.
kids. And Sherry wins as a result of a forfeit.
Yeah,
So can't really grade that match, but the segment is kind of good.
yeah.
I'm not grading the segment, but it's a good
What was like
story.
an ongoing segment? You're trying
Mhm.
to figure out like what's happening with Sapphire here.
Right. So after that, Mean Gene is with Dusty. And this is kind of a fun promo because during Dusty's promo, he calls in Hacksaw Jim Duggan and asks if he's seen Sapphire. And he's like, no, we haven't, Dust, but we're all looking for her.
Jim Duggan, what
Oh,
a beauty!
oh.
I know
And we're not even done with him yet.
you wanted to do a Jim Duggan show, and I think we ended up doing Million Dollar Man instead. We got to
Yes.
do a Jim Duggan
Yes.
in the future here.
So anyway, Dusty talks about some of the stuff that Sapphire's recently gotten. She's gotten a Cadillac, necklace, a diamond ring, a cruise around the world, a fur coat, and we don't know who's been giving it to her. But we're told by Gene Okerlund that the biggest gift she's going to be getting is tonight at SummerSlam. So we'll have to see what that is. So we go back out to the ring for our next match. It is the Warlord versus Tito Santana. And guess what? I have to put in something again on this one. This was originally scheduled to be Rick Martel versus Tito Santana. This probably would have been the end of the Strike Force feud, but Martel was injured, but they called it on TV as Rick was competing in a modeling contest in Paris.
Much more important than doing
Oh
your job as a
God, yeah,
wrestler.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And Tito Santana is my Facebook friend now. I don't know if you knew that, but
Oh,
so I got to say nice things about him. I like that. I like his portion of the match.
mm-hmm,
I always thought he was a pretty entertaining wrestler.
mm-hmm.
Warlord is god awful. He kind of reminds me of Ryback a little bit when I was
Oh,
watching.
poor Warlord.
I was watching him and I'm like, Jesus, this is like he's dressed up like Stone Cold Steve Austin, but he wrestles like Ryback. Like this is like not good. But yeah, I was like watching. I was like, "Geez, is that where Steve Austin came up with his wrestling attire? Like black trunks and the knee pads and the bald head, goatee." Yeah, this is a D minus for me. I was never a big Warlord fan, and it was a similar Warlord match. So too bad for Tito.
Tito's good in this match.
Yeah, he is.
He's good in this
He
match.
makes Warlord look good, and the Warlord still look like shit, in my opinion.
And that's something that I've kind of noticed over the last couple of years. I think in the internet wrestling community is that Tito Santana is starting to get some love, like from kind of like our generation.
Yep.
And it's like, wow, he was really good, you know. And this kind of shows it here because, you know, he does make Warlord look good in this match. And Santana was one of those guys where I think he could have wrestled just about anybody and it could have been a match.
He could have a decent match with almost anybody.
Yeah. So my rating's going to probably be might surprise you a little bit here. I gave it a C minus. Only because I thought Santana was really good and I thought he made Warlord look good. So.
Well, what did you think of Roddy Piper talking about tacos in the match? That was a little bit like, okay.
It's not nearly as bad as Jesse's, especially at WrestleMania 6.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's like, hey, Gorilla, what if Chico had given Barbarian some burritos 5 minutes before the match and made him go to the bathroom? And Gorilla's like, stop it. That's enough.
I love it when he called him Chico.
Actually, that's the name of his autobiography is Don't Call Me Chico. And I think Jesse writes the foreword.
Ventura must get royalties for that.
Yeah,
yeah, I remember that. That was great. Hey, Chico.
Yep.
I think he gave him some burritos before the match.
That's enough.
Yeah.
Some of the best dialogue ever.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, I went to Tijuana, the Blue Note Club.
Yeah.
Okay. So we get a brief plug for the Survivor Series Thanksgiving night.
Yeah.
Sean is in the back with Demolition, and they talk about how there's only going to be 2 members of Demolition at ringside for this match with the Hart Foundation. And then they bring up the Legion of Doom, and Crush calls them a bunch of second-rate imposters.
God damn it.
I'm going to be honest. I was more of a Demolition fan than an LOD fan. I just was.
But not the 3, right?
Oh, no, not the 3. No. When it was
when it was Axe and Smash, they had the cool theme song.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, when they were like a babyface team, they were great.
They were kind of they were kind of like the anti-hero in a way.
Yeah, similar. Yeah, I guess that's a good way to put it. God, these promos are bad in the show.
So, Crush and Smash are the ones that are going to compete in this match. Hart Foundation cut a promo, and they just say stuff, and Brett ends it with a Phil Collins song saying that we are 2 hearts beating as one.
Yeah, I laughed out loud by myself in my living room when he said that.
I wonder if Brett is a Phil Collins fan.
He probably is.
Because okay, I'm gonna say
Anvil just yelling random stuff.
Right. I'm gonna say this real quick. Because I've had this talk many years ago with my dad. Because there are some artists that we like some of their songs, but we wouldn't buy their albums. Phil Collins is one of those guys for me, especially 80s Phil Collins. Holy crap, does he have some great songs?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't know if he has enough to buy an entire album, but
no.
Good thing that we live in the era we live in. We don't have to worry about that anymore.
Exactly. Although he still shouldn't have won that Oscar for best song that year. It should have gone to South Park, but that's another story for another year.
Which song from South Park should have won?
Blame Canada.
Oh, yeah. I always thought that should be our national anthem. Yeah.
And you got on me last week about making fun of Brian. Never mind. Anyway.
Hey, you haven't even had a poutine yet.
I know. I'm gonna have one when I'm up there with you guys.
Yeah, I think I had 3 this week. That's what happens when you're Canadian. You just you're ordering your food. It's like, would you like fries? Would you like a poutine? Add $2. Hell yeah, I'll add $2. Fries, gravy, cheese. Yeah, sorry, rant's over. But yeah, don't talk about Bryan Adams anymore, please.
No, he has a couple good songs.
He has all good songs. Like, they're all good. Every single one of his songs are good.
3 or 4. But anyway.
It's probably like 30. But we don't have to argue about Bryan Adams.
I don't even know 30. That's the problem. I don't even know.
Me neither. I'm just kidding.
Anyway,
I'm just kidding.
This is 2 out of 3 falls for the tag team titles. First fall is actually a pretty good first fall. I enjoyed watching this one. It shows that both these teams are here to fight for these belts.
Yeah.
The end comes when Crush hits the Demolition Decapitator and Demolition wins the first fall. So Brett, who started the first fall, and since he lost the first fall, has to start the second fall. And Demolition has control for a little bit. Jim Neidhart comes in. He's a house of fire.
Yep.
And then Brett gets tagged in, and they hit the heart attack. They're going to win the second fall. But Crush comes in, goes on to the referee, and the referee is like, I've had enough. I'm calling for the bell. And the Hearts win the second fall. Right. So in between the second and the third fall, Bret Hart gets knocked out of the ring. Jim checks out on him. And here comes Axe running to the ring. Oh, wait a minute. There's only supposed to be 2 members of Demolition. So Axe hides under the ring. So we get to the third fall. Bret Hart, who starts the third fall. I wonder if that was just agreed upon. Bret's going to start all 3 falls.
Yeah.
He and Smash started. Smash rolls or goes to the outside. He and Axe pull a switch. So Axe is now in the match. Referee does not realize that there's a different guy in the ring.
Nope, that's the thing. Like, it's not like they're twins.
Exactly.
Like, Axe looks nothing like Smash.
They're not the Bellas.
Now, if it was Smash and Repo Man, okay.
Maybe.
Because they're the same person.
Right. So, Demolition, they're taking the advantage. And then, as Axe goes back under the ring, here comes the Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. So they pull Axe out of the ring. Smash sees this. He gets distracted. Well, actually, all of them do, but Smash in particular. And you could kind of hear him go like, "Come back here, you son of a bitch."
I'm like, yeah, I thought this was a kid show. Like,
yeah. And as this is going on, Crush gets shoulder blocked by Neidhart. Bret gets a schoolboy. 1, 2, 3. The Hearts win the third fall and win the tag team titles. And Jim Neidhart is crying because he's won the belts back.
Yay, Jim.
I'm just gonna say it right now. This is my favorite match out of this entire show.
It was pretty good.
I gave this a B-.
Yeah. The thing with the 2 out of 3 falls is you kind of know that's gonna go to 3 falls.
Mm-hmm.
That's like my only downside of matches like this.
Right.
But I was on the edge of my seat the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
The Legion of Doom part, you know, I think it kind of hurt the Heart Foundation a little bit just because now it's like 4-on-3.
Mm-hmm.
But, they got the big pop when
Yeah.
it came out. And then Brett with the schoolboy pin for the win. So, yeah, I'm with you. I gave it a C+.
Okay.
It was pretty close to your grade.
We're not too far off on this.
Yeah, but I enjoyed the match the whole time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Brett was basically the star of the match here. Anvil had a couple spots in there, but Brett was in there for most of the match.
Actually, everybody looked good in this match. Even Crush looked good. He did. He took that fall like a champion.
Freaking Crush.
All right, so then we get our first promo for WrestleMania 7. I don't believe any of the numbers work anymore because they put up on my end, do not call the numbers. They are no longer active, or at least the California one. I'm tempted to call the 1-800 one to see if that works or not.
WWF Titan 1 or something.
I don't know. So we go to the back. Gene is with the Legion of Doom. They cut their usual promo. Then the Hearts come in to celebrate.
Yep.
And we go to Sean Mooney, who is in the hallway of the locker room with Demolition arguing, but they're not complaining about the Hearts winning the belts. They're complaining about the Legion of Doom getting involved.
Yeah.
And they won't let Sean get in.
Right.
So we go back to Jean, who is with Sensational Sherry, and she's happy because, well, she won. And then she talks about the potential rumors that she heard, but she won't tell Jean. So Jean decides, okay, we're going to take a 5-minute intermission. I'm going to go look for her. You go your own way. And this is, okay, this part I think I want to explain to our younger fans. In this time of late 80s, early 90s WWF pay-per-views, we got a legit 5-minute intermission. And there would be a clock that would count you down all the way to 0. Mm-hmm. That's what it would be on the screen for 5 minutes. And you'd hear you'd hear the background of the crowd. It's legit. This is what happened when we were growing up. So I kind of miss those days, but we're in the 2022 and it's just, fast paced.
Yeah. You have intermissions when you go to like a house show.
Yeah, you do. Okay, so we come back to Gene and he runs down what's still to come at SummerSlam, which we won't do because, well, that would take us forever. Then he talks about how the match between Bad News Brown and Jake Roberts is featuring animals. There's Bad News Brown with 200 pounds of sewer rats, and we get a video of it, and it's just a bunch of possums.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I'm like, that's not a rat.
That's not a rat.
Like, I know you want it to look big. These are Harlem rats.
Right.
Nope, those are possums.
Those are possums, exactly.
Not like possums are cleaner or anything, but
right.
They might as well be a giant rat, in my opinion.
And then we see in the shower Damien, and his mouth is wide open. It's like,
yeah,
like, okay.
What they do, just like put like something for him to eat over there so they can take the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
And then we get our guest referee for that match, the Big Boss Man.
The Big Boss Man had a busy night.
He is. And I have no idea why he's the ref. Okay, this is the Jeff Jarrett of 1990 right here. There's no reason why the Boss Man is the referee for this match. He has nothing on either one of these two.
Yeah. I don't know. It didn't make a lot of sense.
It really didn't. So we're going to skip that promo. No offense to Boss Man's family. And we go to Sean Mooney, who is with Nikolai Volkov and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Nikolai,
This is bad.
this is fun. Nikolai recently switched sides from the Soviet to the United States. And Jim Duggan, with open arms, welcomed him into the United States as a friend, as a brother, and a neighbor. But tonight, as his partner. And then they make a joke about American Express because they're facing the Orient Express later in the show. Yeah, I'd be looking up my phone too. So now we go back to Gene, who's with the Earthquake, Jimmy Hart, and Dino Bravo. So we get a quick background of when Earthquake put Hulk Hogan out of action. And then what happened recently with them putting Tugboat out of action, because Tugboat was originally going to be in the corner of Hulk Hogan, but, well, we'll let you know who ends up being in Hogan's corner a little later. And Jimmy Hart promises that we will see 2 ambulances leaving at the same time tonight. And then we go back to Sean, who's with Jake the Snake Roberts. And while he's cutting a promo, Damien is trying to strangle him. Literally.
Yeah, I saw that. He's trying to like put his tail in his eye there for a second. And Jake's a pro. He's just like he's trying not to like freak out, but he's like, okay.
Yep. So after all that, we go back to the ring where Bad News Brown is in the ring. So it's Bad News Brown against Jake Roberts. Big Boss Man is the guest referee. I like Bad News Brown. I like Jake Roberts. This just didn't do anything for me, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't a memorable match, that's for sure.
Yeah. Plus, we're kind of getting close to Brown's end here in the WWF.
Yeah.
So to make it short, Bad News Brown gets disqualified for using the chair. And then he knocks Boss Man out to the floor. And he grabs the bag. And he's going to do a leg drop on Damien. But the Boss Man grabs the bag, pulls it out of the way. Roberts comes in. He pulls Damien out. And Boss Man runs away, or Brown runs away. Jake Roberts wins by disqualification. I gave this a D.
Yeah. I give it a D minus. It's like one of my least favorite matches on the show. It was kind of boring. Didn't really see the point of Boss Man being there.
Oh,
you could have had like a regular
point.
referee. Like he didn't do much as a special referee would do. So a little kind of curious about the booking of Boss Man here as a referee. So yeah, I'm with you, like D minus range.
Yeah.
So we can move on from this match.
God, yeah.
Get to the next one.
So we get another promo for WrestleMania. Gene is in the back with Demolition, and they basically threaten the Legion of Doom, saying they will rule the day they ever messed with Demolition. So now we go back up to the ring for a very special Brother Love show.
Oh my God.
All right, Brother Love. And his guest is Sergeant Slaughter.
And they referred to him as Drill Sergeant Slaughter here. So I don't know how long that lasts. So this is the beginning of Sergeant Slaughter, right? In WWF.
Yeah, the heel run here. Okay. Now this is because we had this talk a couple episodes ago when we did the Warrior.
Yeah.
This is pre him being an Iraqi sympathizer.
Yeah.
This is basically
the beginning of it.
The gimmick of what you and I had talked about.
Yeah.
Of him saying the United States has become soft.
Yeah.
If we sent our troops over to the Middle East tomorrow, they'd get their butts wet. That's the Sergeant Slaughter gimmick that I would have preferred.
Yeah.
Over the Iraqi one. But Brother Love gets a medal he gets the Sergeant Slaughter's Great American Award.
So this is where you go get your beer.
Yeah.
My brother love. Jesus.
That's really all there is to say about this.
Yeah, the segment kind of drags a little bit.
It's there.
You don't even need to watch it, really.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So.
All right. So now we go back to Sean Mooney, who is with Mr. Fuji and the Orient Express. Fuji's cutting a promo, and then he gets interrupted because we have some developing news. Gene Okerlund has seen Sapphire as she goes into a locker room.
Yeah.
So he tries to get an interview with Sapphire, and we go to the ring for the next match, which is the Orient Express against Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Nikolai Volkov. Okay, before we get into the match, I have to admit this. When I was about 5 and I heard Stars and Stripes Forever, especially playing for Nikolai, yeah. I always thought the
yeah,
and then they go to da-na-na, na-na. I always thought they were like Nikolai Volkov. Again, I was 5.
Okay, all right.
So then this part had me cracking up. And one of my nephews was like, "Why are you so loud?" Because Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Oh, I wish I'd taken footage of this. Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Nikolai Volkov together sing a rendition of God Bless America.
And they're like, oh. And then they even mention like the passing of Kate Smith, right, who was like amazing at this song. And you have these 2 guys that can't sing worth a damn.
Right.
Are just
she would sing these
butchering this wonderful song. And the crowd is like booing and they're supposed to be the good guys. It was just a bad look. And then they kind of saved it by showing the Kate Smith statue on the outside. And then they kind of like, people stopped booing, but it was like, okay, put the mics down, please. Hacksaw and Volkov. Jesus. What a tag team.
Oh my God. Thankfully, this team did not last long. So Orient Express attack after the performance. And that's about the highlight of the match. Because Volkov
had a nice clothesline to get the win.
Yeah, he did.
It was a good clothesline.
That's all you need to know. Yeah. Volkov and Duggan win. This is I gave this a D-. Yeah, I might be very nice on that one.
And I thought the Jake Roberts match was the worst match on the show, but like this one, I forgot. We got a couple bad ones in a row here.
Yeah.
Yeah, D- for me. I don't even know what to say after the song. I was just like, what are we doing here, people?
Why? I'm surprised that's not up on YouTube.
Yeah,
it's someone.
It probably is. I'm sure you can find it.
I've looked.
Hacksaw and Volkov sing. Probably be 2 of them at a karaoke bar, so you don't want to.
Oh my God!
You don't want to Google that or.
Now I bet Volkov on karaoke on other songs is probably a good singer.
Well, he used to sing the Russian anthem, right, but I think he was trying to do it bad just to get the crowd to
boo. Right.
It wouldn't have mattered. Like that's the way it was.
It is.
Unless you were in Russia.
All right. So then we get another quick promo for Survivor Series. We go to the back. Dusty Rhodes is now there. He's trying to get Sapphire to open the door. And, well, Dusty's match is next. So he's got to leave Sapphire. Yep. He's got to get to the ring for this match.
Yep.
So the next match is Dusty Rhodes against Macho King Randy Savage. Sean does an interview on a ladder. So maybe Sean Mooney's the originator of the ladder match, not Brad and Sean.
Maybe.
And Randy talks about these rumors again. We don't know what these rumors are. So Savage gets down to the ring, and before the bell rings, we hear a laugh. Hey, it's $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase.
I know that laugh.
What's he doing here? So he talks about how everybody's got a price and how it can buy anybody and anything. And he's talking to Dusty Rhodes, and he says that it has bought his manager, Sapphire. And here comes Sapphire with a big duffel bag and her mink coat, dressed nicely.
Yep.
Dusty can't believe it. And he's just distraught. And DiBiase's like, who do you think bought the Cadillac? A trip around the world. So Dusty comes out, but Savage attacks him. So Dusty can't get to DiBiase.
Yeah.
This is a very quick match. I wish this had gotten a little more time because I think this would have been good.
Yeah, it was, and it's kind of like a rematch from Mania because they had like the tag team match at Mania 6.
Yeah.
So like you had the two girls in a match that never happened because of what we're talking about. And then the guys here. So yeah, I'm with you. I wish it was longer.
So the end of the match, Sherry distracts the referee and Dusty. Savage has Sherry's purse, hits Rhodes, covers 1, 2, 3. Savage gets the win. For what it was, you know, it was all right. I gave it a D+.
Yeah, I like the element of surprise with the Sapphire angle. I didn't know what they were doing there.
Yeah.
And like I told you off camera, like I'd seen some of these matches, but I never watched the show from beginning to end. So yeah, it was kind of interesting how they did it.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess with Dusty not 100% into the match, I see why they had a short Macho King victory here. I'm with you. I'll give it a D as well.
I mean,
for the match.
Oh yeah,
but the segment like with the Macho or with the $1 Million Man.
Yeah,
like I give that a high grade for that portion of the segment.
Yeah, I do too. And Rhodes and Savage would have one more match. It would be on a Saturday night's main event, which I haven't seen, but I've heard it's pretty good. So, Sean Mooney catches up with DiBiase at his limo. Dusty Rhodes is chasing him, and the limo gets away with Dusty just screaming, "No! No! No!"
Yep.
But we're going to get something from Dusty a little later on that is one of my favorite things he's done. So we go to the ring, and we are getting ready for the first half of our double main event, the Earthquake against Hulk Hogan. So Earthquake gets into the ring. We go to the back. There's Hulk Hogan and the Big Boss Man.
So, yeah, he's got a busy night.
Yeah, Boss Man is in Hogan's corner. Hogan talks about the 400,000 cards and letters that he got from the Hulkamaniacs. He's dedicating the match to Tugboat. And he calls the Big Boss Man Thomas Jefferson, and he refers to himself as George Washington.
Yeah, that was interesting.
It was.
There was a few different promos. There's one at the end that I want to talk about that made me like almost spit my drink out.
I think I know the one you're talking about. So, Boss Man comes out again. Doesn't get as big of a pop as he did the first time because he's like, "Hey, we already saw you."
Yeah.
And then the Hogan pop. This is a nice reaction for Hogan.
And Vince is out there, so this might be the time where he realized like maybe Hogan is still that number one guy.
Mm-hmm.
Not that the Warrior wasn't a number one guy.
Yeah.
I got a little scenario to pitch to you after we talk about the last match.
Okay.
To remind me.
All
But
right.
yeah, the pop was huge.
Yeah.
One of the biggest. Definitely the biggest pop of the night.
Yeah, definitely. And Philly is still Hulk Hogan country at this time.
Yeah.
It is still Hogan country. So Hogan, he does this match a little differently. He, does it a little more cautiously. Tries to do a strength contest, can't really get much with Earthquake.
Yeah.
All four end up fighting in the ring at one point. And then Earthquake gets an advantage after Bravo attacked Hogan. And Earthquake at one point goes to the top rope and hits Hogan with a double axe handle. How many 460 plus pound guys do you know can go off the top rope like that?
Probably just Vader.
Maybe.
It's like the only one I can think of.
Yeah, probably Vader and Earthquake.
You don't see it happening. I was surprised when Earthquake went to the top. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. So, Earthquake still controlling Hogan. And then we get towards the end, Earthquake hits the Earthquake splash, but he gets up. He doesn't go for the pin. And Vince is like, one of the greatest careers in World Wrestling Federation history is over.
Yeah.
And then Earthquake does a second one. And the referee goes for the count. 1, 2. Hogan kicks out. He hulks up.
Yep.
And he is able to body slam the Earthquake. And then we get to the ending because Bravo gets involved. Boss Man gets involved. They go to the outside. Jimmy Hart tries to hit Hogan with the megaphone, accidentally hits Earthquake. Then Hogan body slams the Earthquake onto the table, but the table never breaks, and Earthquake just slides off the table. Hogan gets back in the
strong
ring.
table.
I know. Hulk Hogan wins as a result of a countout.
Yeah.
Then, after the match, Earthquake goes after Hogan. Boss Man grabs a chair. He hits Bravo first. Then he hits the Earthquake. And after one shot, you see marks on the back of the Earthquake.
Yeah.
And they're nasty looking. So,
Earthquake. This is a legit chair here.
Oh, yeah. So Earthquake and his crew, they get chased out of the ring as Hulk Hogan poses and celebrates for several minutes.
Yeah.
So we go to the back where Sean Mooney is with Bobby Heenan and Ravishing Rick Rude as they are getting ready for the other half of the double main event. And they talk about how Rick Rude is the only person to have ever beaten the Ultimate Warrior for a title. And they mention how there's 2 ways to win this match. You can go out the cage, either through the door or over the top, or you can pin your opponent. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the interview, Rude says after he wins the title, there will be no rematch. So we go back to Gene, who's with Dusty Rhodes. And Rhodes cuts, I think, the promo of the show. Because he talks about how he's not upset with Sapphire for taking the money. But he offered his innocence to her and was paid in scorn.
Yep.
And then he talked about how people were asking Dusty, when you gonna get mad, Big Dust? When you gonna get bad, Big Dust? When you gonna get even, Big Dust? And it's such a good Dusty promo. This is maybe my favorite promo he did in WWF.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
It is really good. So we go back out to the arena to Lord Alfred Hayes, who is in front of the cage that is being constructed.
Yep.
And he talks about how he had he talked to the head of the ring crew. Basically, it's the head of the ring crew.
Yeah.
And said how they're going to attempt to break their own personal record of setting up the steel cage.
Okay.
So after that, we go to the back where Mean Gene is with Hulk Hogan. So
he has his bandana on again.
Yes. So Hogan talks about how after this win, Jack Tunney has to make him the number one contender to the WWF title. And Gene's like, oh, I already think you are, Hulk.
Yeah.
And then he talks about, there's two other things he talks about. He thanks the fans again.
Yeah.
And he talks about how there's now a fourth demandment of Hulkamania. And that's believing in yourself. Because they made him believe in himself. So now it's training, saying your prayers, eating your vitamins, and believing in yourself.
Well, those are all things you should do anyways.
You really should. Well, at least 3 of the 4.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't have to pray, but if you want to pray, you can.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
And then, this is the kicker here. He talks about how he's going to buy himself a new surfboard. He's going to go into the ocean. He's going to look for the biggest shark. And then when he gets that shark, he's going to go on a tidal wave. Let me say that again. Tidal wave. Yeah.
That's bad.
That was
bad.
That was wow. So we go back out to Vince and Roddy. They briefly talk about Hogan Earthquake, and they both think this is far from over. Then they talk about the steel cage match, and Roddy predicts Rude is going to win the match because Warrior has never been in a steel cage match. Okay, that's fair. He's given his honest opinion. I can't complain about that. So we go to Sean Mooney, who's with Earthquake, Bravo, and Hogan. And basically it's like, hey, you beat me tonight, but it's not over. And then they show the big scar on Warrior's or on Earthquake's back.
Yeah.
And then Bravo is
like,
well. Yeah. And Bravo's like, this isn't over. Earthquake is going to get you. You know?
Jesus.
And then we go to Mean Gene, who's with the Ultimate Warrior. And it's time for Amateur Comedy Hour. So, DK, I got a question for you. What do Rick Rude and Bobby Heenan have in common with the Liberty Bell?
What's that?
One is cracked and the other is a ding dong.
And then Gene starts laughing. Mm-hmm. And then like the Warrior like kind of laughs, but then he like snorts at him like a psycho.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the moment that I like almost spit my drink out. The other is a ding dong.
One is cracked and the other is a ding dong. Okay, I cannot defend Warrior on that one. I cannot. That is a terrible joke. That sounds like something one of my nephews would do.
Yeah, but that might be the Warrior's greatest promo of his career.
Oh, jeez.
Have you heard the nonsense that came out of that guy's mouth?
Oh, come on. The one at 6 is better.
Hulk Hogan.
Hey, at least he
you
told
call
us.
Him Hulk Hogan.
At least
Who's Hulk Hogan?
At least he told us that physically none of us can live forever.
Yeah.
So during the interview, he says that it is his right to be the World Wrestling Federation champion, which gets the ire of Piper because he mentions how it's not a right. It's you have to earn the right. So
yeah. Well, he did. He beat the number one guy at WrestleMania, so he deserved it. So
right. All right, so we get to the ring. Howard Finkel does the announcement, and as soon as he starts talking, I'm like, "Oh shit, we're gonna get that terrible redub of Rick Rude's theme," which we
Oh,
do. And the way they try to have Vince and Piper talk, like the editing is horrible. It's like,
yeah, I didn't
"Oh,"
even notice that.
it's like, "Well, here comes Rick Rude.
Oh
Prepare
yeah,
here.
yeah.
He's got a good opportunity tonight." Oh my god, it is so bad.
Now,
Just
why? Well,
play
what
the
was the reason
freaking.
behind? Like, didn't have the rights to his theme song.
I don't know. But
Okay.
so Rude gets in the cage, and this is maybe my favorite Rick Rude insult of all time because he calls the fans a bunch of fat, out of shape Pennsylvania pissants.
I was kind of hoping he would call them sweat hogs. Like sweat hogs, though, is my favorite thing he used to say. But Pennsylvania piss ants is pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good too. So then he takes his robe off. Warrior comes running out, and
Yep.
we start our cage match.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a typical cage match where
Yeah.
both guys bleed.
Yeah.
And at one point, Rick Rude goes to the very top of the steel cage and hits a punch right onto the Warrior's head. And then he tries a second time and he gets caught. Warrior tries for a move. Rude blocks it. Rude then hits the Rude Awakening. And he tries to get out. And Heenan like gets to the door. And Heenan's trying to pull Rude out. But the Warrior grabs his feet, then grabs his tights, pulls his trunks down, and Heenan ends up getting into the cage. Heenan gets knocked down and out. And then
Yeah.
Rude gets knocked down and out. Warrior climbs over the cage, does the Rick Rude pose, and Warrior retains the title. And then we get one more quick reminder of Survivor Series, and that's it for SummerSlam 90.
Yeah.
As far as the match, it lost a little bit of steam because it had to go after Hogan.
Yeah.
Um, it's an
I was kind of
av-
surprised that they didn't put Hogan on
Hogan
last.
last, yeah,
Even I think they were trying to convince themselves that Warrior was passing Hogan,
yeah.
but you can tell, especially with this crowd,
Mm-hmm.
Hogan's still number one, and it's not close.
As far as this match goes, it's an average cage match. It's nothing bad, nothing good. It's just kind of there.
Yeah.
I gave it a C minus.
Um, I don't think we gave our grades for the Hogan match.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
let's go back to that real quick.
so I want to give that one a C,
Okay.
and then I'm giving the Warrior um, Rude match a C minus.
Okay. I'm giving Earthquake and Hogan a C plus.
Okay.
So we're not too far off.
So I think based on all our grades, there's only one B minus,
Yeah.
and mine is ranging between D and C plus. So
Yeah.
not the greatest show.
No, it's not, but
The
it's
two co-main events were entertaining. They could have been better.
mm-hmm.
Boss Man, in multiple spots here.
Yeah.
And there's a few duds. I agree with you. I do think the 2 out of 3 tag team match was the best match.
I mean,
Worst match, probably Warlord and Tito for me. Maybe Jake the Snake. There's a couple that could have been there. But, it was still a fun show, entertaining.
yeah, it's
The
a fun
Sapphire
show.
angle was kind of interesting. Yeah, kind of a good show for, like, this is the first pay-per-view after WrestleMania, kind of setting up their their year. It's not like every month like they have now.
Right. I mean, it's a fun show to watch. You're not going to see anything of historic purpose or historic moments. It's just a fun show to watch. And I think the longest match is under 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So they were
So,
going by real quick with these matches.
yeah. Well, yeah, the pay-per-view I think is only like 2.5 hours.
Yeah,
And
it's
there's
not
like
long.
8 matches or something.
Yeah. But I just want to mention, for if you want to find it on Peacock, season 3, episode 1. That's where you got to find it under. Season 3, episode 1 of SummerSlam.
Well, if you go on the WWE network, you just go to SummerSlam 1990.
Yeah.
And then you hit it.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about season 3, episode, whatever. That's confusing.
It is. Now,
so my thing that I wanted to bring up.
Yes.
Now, many, many years after this, they go to 2 shows. There's 2 champions. Do you think this would have worked with Hogan and Warrior? If they had a bigger roster? I think Hogan was the top guy.
Yeah.
Warrior was the second guy. But you can't have them battling each other. They're both baby faces. So wouldn't have worked for a rivalry? I think if you look at the future and how there was like multiple champions and there was a SmackDown and a Raw, if you go back to in the 89-90 range, you could have 2 champions.
You could have done it.
2 shows, and then maybe they meet to unify that championship at some point. I just think, like, I know with the house shows, the Warrior had his own tour, and then Hogan had his own tour. Yeah. Hogan's tour did a little better.
Oh, God, yeah.
But people were still going to see the Warrior, and I think it was Macho was on that tour as well. Right. A few others. Hogan was basically fighting the earthquake everywhere.
I mean, they could have done it. You know.
So, I was just thinking about that. I'm like, okay, so the Warrior is the champ. He's, in my opinion, he's the number 2 guy as the champion. And then you have Hogan with Earthquake, which I think that they, if Warrior would have held the title longer, if he would have had a better run, I think this Warrior or this Earthquake Hogan rivalry would have probably kept going until maybe WrestleMania 7.
Maybe.
Instead of switching it up and having Hogan win the title, but then you ended up getting a Warrior Macho Man match, so
right,
things worked out pretty good. But yeah, this show, I don't know, I give it probably a D+ based on all my ratings of the matches. So
yeah, it's about there for me as well, but it's a fun show to watch. So
yep. It's not the number 1 SummerSlam by any means, but
no,
it wasn't a bad show.
No, not at all.
It's a passing grade, basically, for me. So I'm glad that you picked that one. I hadn't seen that show from beginning to end. I had seen the Warrior match. I don't even think I'd seen the Hogan Earthquake match. So it was cool to go back and check it out.
Yeah.
And I feel like we're gonna probably do a review of the major shows, like probably the weekend of.
Yeah.
So when we get to Survivor Series, we'll probably review the Survivor Series, and then we'll talk about the show too.
Yeah, we will. All right. Well, that's gonna just about wrap it up. Join our Facebook group. We will have conversations going on during SummerSlam tonight, so you can join in on the fun. You'll probably get my reaction along with DK's.
Yeah, I'll probably be live posting.
Yeah.
If everything works out and I am able to watch it live, I should be able to, unless something happens. So
yeah,
I should be live posting and my reactions and stuff. So please comment and join the group.
Yep.
DK and Bill Wrestling Podcast. And also join our sports podcast, The History and Legacy of Sport.
Yep.
We're we've tripled our members in the last week, so it's good to see. We should be recording episode
Three.
3?
Yeah, pretty soon.
Biggest losses in sports history. We still have to go over the criteria of what JC was trying to get across there for that show. So we'll reach out to him and we'll bring you that hopefully next weekend.
Yep, absolutely. And next time we're on, which will probably be maybe tomorrow, maybe Monday, depends. We're going to review SummerSlam, and we're also going to talk about Sting from 1990 to 1994. That's going to be our wrestler that we look at.
Yeah. So is there an event from 90 to 94 that maybe I haven't seen that I should watch for this? Like, what's Sting's best match between 90 and 94?
Oh my God.
Like, I've seen a lot of them, but there is, like, I am more of a WWE guy. Everyone knows that. So I'd like to.
Maybe.
If there's a first
you know
ballot,
what? I'm going to say.
Watch.
I'm going to say any match with Vader would be the best.
Yeah, I've seen most of the Vader ones. So, yeah, okay. Sounds good. Looking forward to that and the post SummerSlam, and we'll review all our horrible predictions and see who went right and who went wrong, and hopefully it's just a good show. Yeah,
that's all we want. It's a good show.
Thanks everyone for listening, watching, downloading, sharing, liking, all that stuff. Appreciate it. And enjoy SummerSlam, and hopefully you can join us for our recap show.
Yep. Have a good day, everyone.